Ready, Steve? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome. It is January 24th. This is the regular meeting of the Pipestone County Commissioners. And serving us today, we've got Commissioners Johnson, Nagel, Rosskamp, Hollingsworth, and myself, Wildermuth. Also joining us, working with us, is our Commissioner Ewing, and there is our HR Director, Mrs. Feste. You've all received a copy of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have two on this one, please. On the consent agenda, item number 2, Commissioners' warrants. We have add-on warrants this morning dated 1/24 of 23, $6,145.01, 6145.01. On other business, I would like to pull from the agenda the fiscal host agency agreement for Southwestern Adult Mental Health Consortium and bring that back at the first meeting in February on the 14th. This needs some wordsmithing, and I'd also like to have our county attorney review it too, even though both attorneys for Southwest Mental Health and Des Moines Valley did look it over as well. So I'd like to pull that off for now. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Very good, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Hearing none. Also in your packet, you received a copy then of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes as well of our both meetings, our January 10th and also our January 17th special meeting. The commissioner warrants with the add-on that we just had of the $6,145.01. Also, commissioner warrants in from January 18th to January 20th, and the hospital warrants then of $1,058,350.75.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. Kathy, you're first on the list. Then you're going to introduce a new employee for us.
I don't see her here.
Okay. Do you want to wait and do it later? Or?
Yeah.
We can come back to it. That would work just fine. And we'll ask Nick to step forward. Morning, Nick.
Morning. Pretty short for me today, just a few items here. First up, we had 2 truck drivers resign right after I told you at the last meeting that we were full. So, bad timing on me saying that. I think it was the next 2 days or something. We lost 2 of them, but I just wanted to update everybody that, we're short mechanic and 2 truck drivers. So we'll be advertising for that. And if we can't get any applicants, we may have to look at other things like hiring some outside people to do some snow plowing or something, because we got to keep our roads cleared. But
Are either of the 2 still with us yet now, or they gave notice and they're already gone?
I think we might have one until tomorrow. I can't remember. I'd have to look at my dates. I was out last week at a meeting all week, so kind of got my calendar screwed up a little bit. But I think he's here till tomorrow or Thursday. But so that's where we're at with that. I'll let you know as I know more. But, next item, I assume we want to do a road and bridge hearing again this year as we've done in the past. Okay. You don't need to set a date today, but you can if you want. I did look up the last 3 years, I think, were as early as February 28th and as late as March 16th. They've all been at 9 o'clock in the morning. I need to check my calendar, but it doesn't matter to me. Whatever works best for everybody else is fine with me. But,
February 28th is a regular board meeting.
Yeah.
okay.
Don't we have it usually on a Monday?
Mondays usually.
So February 27th is a Monday.
Yeah, it is.
Let me look.
I'll have a conflict with that with the CPT.
Oh, okay, well, let's avoid that then.
I'm available that day, but if that doesn't work for you, that's fine too.
You did have it last year, February 28th on Monday. There was also CPT that day too.
Yeah.
No, let's avoid that, so.
I don't know if I want to get too much earlier than that because I haven't even started on it yet, so I need time to prepare it. But
So you want to take a look at March 6th then? How does that look for everybody?
Not good.
Okay. March 13th is another next Monday. That's not getting too late for you, Nick? That'd be the second
no,
week.
it doesn't matter to
That'd
me.
work for me.
That'd work for you?
Or the 20th?
That'd work too. Either.
Which day are we talking? The 6th?
March, well, 6th didn't work, so we're looking at either 13th or the 20th. Either the second or the third Monday.
So from my viewpoint, for what it's worth, it doesn't have to be on a Monday. It doesn't matter to me.
It's fine.
What are your wishes?
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever.
It would work better
20th?
if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah. Then I guess what I'm hearing, it sounds like probably Monday, March 6th would probably work the best for everybody at this point,
No.
or the
20th.
20th. The 20th, okay?
Okay.
Good enough. I think we need to take action on that, do we not? So Luke, would you make
Move
that?
for, set it at 9 AM on March 20th.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Because obviously it'll be at the highway building where or you can have it at EMS Center.
I would say
That
I
worked
thought
well.
the EMS building worked pretty well.
Okay.
So I'm fine with that. If that,
Okay,
I don't remember why it got moved there. I think it was so we could spread out a little more because of COVID. But
I thought.
I mean, I can do it either
And if
spot.
you need video stuff, it's easily accessible.
We can set up a projector, but that one's better up there. I think people can see the screen better
Right.
when we do it that way. So
Okay, very good. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
At 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock. Yep. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, passes. Thank you.
all right, that's all I have for right now. I have a bid opening. I'll be back for at 10:30, but short day for me, I guess. Anybody have any questions or?
Nope.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, we'll have a presentation on hometown fiber. That'll be at 9:30, and she is not here yet, I don't believe, so. Can we possibly get Keith Freeman down early? He's scheduled for 10 o'clock. Would he be ready to come down now, or do we want to go into Personnel Committee?
New personnel, let's do that.
Yep. And you want to reach out to Keith and see if he can come down early?
Morning.
Good morning, Kathy.
I just have the two items, and Nick alluded to these when he presented, but I have the approvals of two resignations in the highway department, and that's Radby and Inbosh, effective January 20th, and then David Swenson, effective January 27th.
We need to take action on those. You want to split them up individually? Can we do them both at the same time?
I think you could do either. You could do them both at the same time, that's fine.
Move for approval
Thank you,
of
Luke.
resignation.
Okay. I'll second.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes.
Thanks, and I'll give EMS a call. Morgan may be on a call or something, but I'll see if she can make it before the end of the meeting,
Okay,
so.
very good. Thank you,
you.
Kathy. Yep. And I think we'll just stand by for a minute then, I guess. Still hear back from Steve. I guess you flick to the very back of the sheet, just a list of our upcoming meetings then. So of course, on the 14th, we'll have a regular board meeting, 28th, regular board meeting, and then on the 22nd, we'll have our AMC Legislative Conference. But don't we have a special, we got a special meeting though on the 31st. Oh, that's hospital board special, yep.
Keith will be right down.
Okay, good enough. While we're waiting for that, Steve, can you take care of the formalization of the committee list? We need to, the list of committees that we went through last time, Steve has got a final clean copy for us.
Yep. Committee list is up to date as of our last meeting. Everything's been added that we requested to do. The only thing I don't have is a replacement member on the ditch committee yet, so I have that listed as vacant.
Yep.
So I would recommend formal approval of the committee assignment list for 2023.
Mr. Chair, I just,
Something else?
yeah, CPT did move to bi-monthly now, starting this year.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll have an executive committee meet off months instead. So it was monthly before. That was just a recent change. But
What page is that on?
The
Last one? Nope, there it is, okay. And meeting dates are now, we'll just put in bi-monthly.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make that change.
Also, Steve, I've got another change for our SMOC committee. Our liaison person, Jerry Priester, had tendered his resignation last week, so we now have a vacancy there at our SMOC committee. What page is SMOC on here?
Page 3.
Okay, I'll note that as vacant then.
And we would, there we go, we'd actively look for a replacement for Jerry, so a committee member at large. So if anybody knows of anyone,
And they meet monthly.
yep, it is always the third Monday.
Who should they contact? You or?
Probably me, yep, yep, then I'll bring their name forward then to the governance board down there for their ratification, but it's
I got
formality.
somebody possibly in mind.
Oh, terrific. And they just changed their per diem for community member at large to $75 a meeting. Okay. Any other adjustments to the final clean sheet or any questions, anybody?
and then since this was new to us with the SRDC, is that something that we should start putting on here too, since we need to fill those township and municipality positions, since we need to appoint those?
Right.
That's something that we should include on the list too. I thought, I didn't think about that till after the fact.
'Cause I thought we had talked to a mayor from Ruthven was willing to do the town one.
Right, but
We're still looking for a township person.
yeah,
And we did mention that at the township annual meeting.
we had no takers.
Well, nobody jumped at it, but I can throw it out there again.
But maybe that was something we should.
So we need one township rep and one city rep?
Yeah, but city rep Stan Townsend from Ruthven said he was willing to do it.
Could you follow up with him, Luke, and get that formalized, or did he
We,
commit?
I did. In fact, Chris and I talked to him in person
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
at the flood meeting.
good,
Flood
so
map.
we can go ahead and list him now then,
Yeah,
but you still need someone from one of the
townships.
townships.
Township boards.
Do you guys know of any of the townships that might have someone available? Okay, but we can go ahead and take action on
Yes.
Let's go ahead and change
as
this.
it is now, realizing it is a living document. We can adjust it as we go forward, so, okay?
It is.
And if we
Subject
could,
to change.
yeah, reach out to Stan on the times or whatever.
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval.
Okay, thank you, Chris. It's been
Corrections.
moved with these
Second.
additions and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes, thank you.
Make those changes, thank you.
He was here.
I'll be back.
There we go. You guys can step right up and, although,
I don't know.
just to get everybody here at once. Do you have any,
We were early and I was.
He just like walked out seconds ago.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I do gotta make a copy or something. I don't know.
Mike, do you have any public information as well too, or do we need to go into closed session right away?
I just closed, I believe, yep.
Okay,
Coming out of that, you may have some
Yeah, we'll have,
right,
you wanna
Yep.
share. right?
okay. It's on the agenda for 10 o'clock. We're gonna move it up earlier. And we do have a request to go into closed session is because it's gonna be involving the purchase of a vehicle and so forth. So, for undercover purposes. So that is the necessity for going into closed session. So I guess at this time I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved to go into closed session and seconded. So it is 9:17. We are now in closed session. I would ask the press to step out. It'll take just a couple minutes, guys.
Thinking Keith went to make copies for you guys of what,
Okay.
a couple of these.
Do you have a copy?
I don't. And do you want to take care of the video, Steve?
recording again?
Very good, thank you, and thank the press for their understanding to step out while we did that, so appreciate that. Now that we are back in open session then again, we do have some business that we need to take care of, so I would entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a 2023 Ram from Papic Motors for $30,570 and a GMC 2023 from Dull Motors for $35,075.
I'll support that.
Good. Moved and seconded, any further discussion, questions? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Passes unanimously, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys, appreciate that. Okay, and Kathy, we're ready for our employee recognition.
So, Morgan, if you wanna join me up. She didn't wanna do any talking. This is Morgan Lyman. She started on December 20th with us in the EMS department. And Morgan's been an EMT for over 5 years. And we're happy to have her. She is full-time, commuting for her shifts, 3 days a week, so.
Very good, thank you, Morgan, and welcome.
Welcome.
We appreciate you being here. You had to go pull her off the rig to get her in here, so.
Yeah,
You bet.
exactly.
Terrific.
So,
What's your experience? Where have you gone to school? What's your background?
I got my license from Western Iowa Tech in Sioux City, and I started in Denison, Iowa, at the county hospital down there, and I worked in Sioux Falls at the ambulance company they have there for about 1.5 years, and then most recently I came from MedStar down in Brandon, and now I'm here.
Very good. Well, we're very fortunate to have you and very happy that you're here, so
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Anything else, Kathy? We're done with yours? We're still an hour away from our bid opening, so,
9:30, Mr.
oh,
Chairman.
okay, yep, our 9:30 is here for our Hometown Fiber presentation. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Morning. Good morning, Marlena.
Good morning. Okay, so I do have some reports here in hard copy.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Then I emailed you the presentation, right? You can pull that up?
Yes. Yep.
And I was telling them outside, I was looking at the maps, right? And you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. But when you drive here, I was checking my gas level, right? Don't run out of gas, don't have an engine light come on. It's a lot of open space here. So lots of miles to cover.
And obviously, that's one of the big obstacles with getting high-speed internet to all of our members, is there's a lot of miles
That's the
here.
obstacle,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Feels good though. I worked at a retirement home forever. There was a guy that I was pinging for a while. He's 92, right? And so I called him one day. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh," he said, "I just bought a new Cadillac." Right? He said, "I'm going down 90 to the Badlands so I could really open her up." And so I was driving here and went, this is where he was. Yeah.
Now, you came up from Iowa this morning? Are you in?
Last night,
Last night, you in Des Moines area?
Cedar Rapids.
Cedar Rapids.
Further yet.
Yeah, so not the fancy part. But it's okay, we like it that way.
Well, we appreciated hearing from you via Skype before. Very nice to have you here in person. So
Yeah,
thank you.
it's good to be here. I told him, I was like, I feel like I can breathe here. You know, it's nice. Okay, so we are going to zip through this. I'm going to give you a report on what we found. So you hired Hometown Fiber to map the county's current internet infrastructure and create an internet fiber optic design. I'm going to give you a report on our findings and then our professional recommendations that will secure Pipestone County's internet future. The quick agenda here, I'm going to run over a few of our findings, find some of those, give you some updates to those findings because things in this world change quickly. Offer our recommendations and financial solutions to get Pipestone County operating at full steam. Then, of course, we'll have time for questions and some conversation. All right, next slide, what we found. This was surprising. We have fiber. we didn't know that going into it. It wasn't on the maps. You have 5,316 addresses in Pipestone County. 884 of those addresses are in red. So red marks unserved or underserved. That's 17% of your county. It's also important to note when we're talking about this that this map denotes speed only, so not reliability, not affordability. But those green spots there, right, that's all fiber. Those little pockets are all set for now in the future, and it appears to be mostly Woodstock Communication who owns that fiber.
Yeah.
So something to know about this is there are two kinds of fiber. Okay, you have an individual directly connected, and then you have PON fiber, or shared fiber. That's what this is. That's what you have right now is PON fiber. And PON fiber starts with one strand of fiber, but then it splits off and it branches out. And once it splits, it can't be put back together. It means that the green areas will be able to handle market demand for another 10 to 15 years, and then it too will need to be replaced. We know time goes quickly, but for now, the green areas are considered served and have access to the best internet service in the county. And because it's fiber, the ISP can offer symmetrical speeds in these areas. The interesting part about this map for me is the yellow. Okay, the yellow is where the coax lives, and it's where most of your population resides. These are currently being served by technology that's almost outdated. It may be meeting most of the demand now, but it won't for long. And when it doesn't, it will need immediate attention and updating because, again, these are your areas with high resident and business count. Okay? Now, I was telling them coax has a lifespan and it can only pump so much juice. So when I travel, you know, my mom always videos me, right? And I was at the hotel on their Wi-Fi, and I couldn't get that to click in last night. They need to, as a general rule, we give coax 3 to 5 years. And again, it doesn't tell you if the service is reliable or affordable. So if we wait until it starts to fail, right, then it's almost too late. Because it's going to take us 2 to 3 years to get fiber in the ground if we start now. Again, the people in the red are deemed unserved or underserved, and those people who live in that parts of your county need help immediately. All right, next slide. So, in order to understand how we got to where we are and what we need to do to fix it, we first have to understand how it got broken, right? How the system got broken and where it faulted. The internet was a luxury when it first started, 20 years ago, right? And since then it's had monumental growth and has now gone from a fun luxury to a necessity. It handles healthcare, public safety, economic growth and development, agriculture, which would be a big one for you guys. But it's now a basic utility that people need, right? We need electricity, water, heat, and internet. When the internet boomed, the ISPs started to pop up, and of course, because most ISPs are private businesses, they came to profit, as is their right, and they built in populated areas. We allowed them to build, as they wished, but we acted like it was their responsibility to provide internet to the people. And their responsibility has never been to the people. Their responsibility are to their shareholders and owners, right? Your responsibility is to the people, though. And I think it's important to understand before we start talking about money and things that make us tense up a little bit, that we can't rely on a for-profit business model to effectively supply infrastructure to our citizens, right? Infrastructure falls under the government's umbrella. And to keep up with the needs of our economy and our citizens, we have to look at internet access as infrastructure, not a luxury. Something we hear a lot of, we hear the word digital divide, right? There's a digital divide. And I think when we start using umbrella terms, it often softens the impact of that definition, right? So what is the digital divide? And what's it mean? It means there's an educational divide, right? It means that there's an opportunity divide. It is the difference between someone in Pipestone having the same online business opportunity as someone in New York or Chicago. And it's the difference between someone being able to stay on their family land and not having to move home because they can't access their pacemaker on the farm. So we have to bridge this gap, and in order to bridge that gap, we have to change our thinking about how we get the internet to people and whose responsibility that is. All right, next one. So we're on the summary page, Steve. So in black and white, this is what you're looking at as a county. You have 5,316 addresses in the county. 884 of those addresses are red. That's 17% of your county addresses. And here's the thing. There's no ISPs with state or federal grant awards planning to build. Okay, I called them. Another interesting point is that you have no RDOF areas, which is something I personally have not seen before. So RDOF areas are when an ISP comes in and they kind of stick their flag in a part of the county, right? And they say, okay, if this gets big enough, we're going to hold on to this part of our land for 8 years, right? And we'll build if it turns into a profit. And they stake their territory, and no one's doing that here. So this is where, when you're looking at things like this, where you have no one else applying for grants, you have no one staking claim to the land, you have no promise of anyone coming in to build it, you have to evaluate your own risk tolerance. Right? Do you keep waiting for someone else to fix your broadband problems, or do you take control and take the steps to get your community what it needs to catch up? I mean, if you do fiber, you're not catching up, you're setting a bar, right? But with no grant applications and no RDOF areas, it's fairly safe to say that no one is coming until maybe when that yellow or coaxial areas start to fail, right? But that has to fail so hard that it turns red and those people go unserved or underserved before it's grant eligible. So part of what we do here is we offer a solution on how to fix this. We take all of this data into consideration when making a recommendation and put a heavy focus on the rural city gap and what lies ahead as far as anticipated need. Rural expense, $12,086 per address. That's why they're not here, right? But, right, big long driveways, big long roads, that's a lot of fiber to run. But the farmers need it, right? The ag people need it. So in your county, it costs more than $12,000 per address to get to the red areas. That's why no one is lining up to get them service. To these farms, families, and businesses, there's no profit in it for them. We need to remember that there is profit to the people who receive the internet, right? That helps them profit. And then we look at the people in yellow. I'm guessing you've heard a little noise about the internet in town even, right? And that noise will get louder as time ticks by. So as I said, usually I go 3 to 5 years on the coax, but just with my experience last night, I guess if I was a betting girl, I would guess that's going to start going faster. On the horizon. So these are the yellow areas. You have 2,700 plus residents and businesses who rely on cable and fixed wireless for their internet. Right? This is the kids' education, the online college courses, businesses is being able to use credit cards, and again, timeout in 3 to 5 years. I think that we have established that the responsibility is going to fall on the commissioners, you all. And honestly, thank goodness we're at a point in this kind of stuff, right, where we can take a little control, and we don't always have to rely on the ISPs. So you have 2 possible solutions moving forward. Recommendation 1 is a countywide fiber network build, beginning in the areas without fiber today, just touching the red and the yellow. When we use the in-town addresses and we put them with the rural addresses, that kind of balances the per address price, right? So we need to, in my mind, in my math, it makes more sense to do that all together. But it's the only solution that we have that will reach everyone in the county and ensure that we aren't sitting back in this room here in a couple years trying to figure out what to do in Pipestone City. It makes it affordable to everyone. It bridges the rural city gap. It sets the county and its residents up for success in the future. It eliminates future concerns of populated areas systems overloading. It's the only solution that solves all of the problems without creating new ones. And it's a clean plan, right? We do it once and we do it right. The open network design is a fairly new concept. Now, it's all over Utah, Indiana, Ohio, right? There's a lot of people that use this primarily. And what it does is it gives your residents choice. So we bring in multiple ISPs to the area, and that forces them to compete for your people's business and allows the local WISPs to play in the fiber world too, right? Because they don't have to pay for the infrastructure, but they can hop on. We like WISPs, they're good companies. Every single address will have reliable, affordable service, and Pipestone County will join its neighbors in setting the bar. So I don't know if you're familiar with Rock County. Yeah? They're the only county as of right now that has wall-to-wall fiber without a spot missing. And one day I was just calling counties, right? Just going down a list. And I called Rock County and I tried to sell them fiber. Whoops. And I went, oh, right. This is Rock County. I use you guys in a presentation. And Kyle is his name. And he said, God, Marlene, if there's one thing I could get through to these people, it has changed everything here, right? Just do it. Like, you don't even understand the difference that it makes. It's the best thing we've ever done as a county. So countywide fiber, it sounds great. It also sounds expensive. And you're proud of your county's zero bond debt, right? But zero bond debt means that you've done a really good job of maintaining. And maintenance is just that, it's keeping what we have. Right now, you're eligible for up to $8 million in grants, right? Those are state grants and federal grants from the BEAD Association and the BEAD program, and the grants are here now. So we don't want to miss that boat. The opportunity for improvement is here now. So I'll talk more about what those bond payments look like, but that's kind of where I got excited. So 15.9 million construction costs, all yellow and red areas. It's a big number. When we're running numbers here, what we do is we look at the amount of area and the amount of people, right? Because you pull the bonds and the network operations pay these bonds back, right? So it doesn't touch your people, it doesn't touch the taxes, it's a revenue bond. And it's insured. But if we get to the point where it's going to take longer than 15 years, then that's a long time, right? 15 years and you have something forever, that seems reasonable. So when I started looking at the area and the population and the numbers, I was going, we're going to have to find 154 people to go build houses in Pipestone County to make this work, because we were close. But it works. It works. The $15.8 million pre-engineering cost includes expenses that benefit Pipestone County and its residents. There are things in there that are usually not included in the estimates from ISPs. Okay, so actually connecting 4,985 properties total with drop cables. The industry uses the term pass-by to describe how many people will be served. Pass-by means they run the fiber, they drop it at the end of the driveway, and then they just keep moving. And if that resident wants that fiber connected to their home, they pay for it. Right? So right now, we have a bed and breakfast in Pine County, and they did a pass-by, and there's a company up there that wants $24,000 to run that up his driveway. Right. And when you really look at what that costs, because what you need are 3 guys in a ditch witch, right? It's going to cost him a lot less than that for us to just go run that up to his driveway. But if you do the pass-by method, you're still leaving the responsibility on the homeowners, and you have long driveways here. So part of this money here includes direct connection.
So that would go right up to their home?
Yep, it's connected. We hook it up. There's part of that, and we think about how to do this, but they have an option, right? So when we go out there, we do it once, right? We're coming by your house. Would you like us to hook up the fiber? And if they say yes, then we do it and it's part of this, right? And if they say no, we say, okay, right? And then and if they want it later, then that's on them.
But if they say yes, there's no cost
Right,
to them.
right.
So why would they say no?
You have to ask them. Right. I know. But we include the cost of the drop cables in this. Private municipal network for city, county utilities and facilities, municipal operations become more efficient and secure when connected through a private fiber network, right? So that's practical to include water, wastewater, electric operations, And as the network gets built in these areas with, when the ISPs are coming in and doing things like this, they oftentimes leave the city utilities out, right? Which is a nightmare, because those should absolutely be connected, right? To their own private network. And then the other thing that we work into here is 2023 anticipated market prices. So inflation, supply and demand, we've heard a lot about that lately, but in the telecommunications industry, that's increased prices. And while the government is investing more money than ever before to help people get the broadband they need, the investment has also caused prices to increase. So we always tell people a timely decision on this helps with that, because we just go get everything in one fell swoop, right? And then if the prices go up, it doesn't matter, because we already have everything we need. Recommendation 2. This approach will work if the state begins to fund 75% of the construction costs. Right now, it's just 50%, but some of the federal rules allow up to 75% from grants. It will take care of just the 17% unserved and underserved. So just the red areas, not any of the yellow, and you're still looking at doing that in 3 to 5 years. You'll notice that the amount bonded is less, but the time it takes to pay that bond back is similar, right? 14.6 years, and I think on the bigger one where we did everything, you're looking at 14.7. Right? And that's just because we have more people on the first recommendation with their network operations paying those bills back. Fixed wireless. Let's talk about that briefly, because I often get asked why that's not in our recommendations.
Because it doesn't work.
A man of few words. If I could have you edit some things for me, this would be a much quicker presentation. Yeah, it doesn't work, right? WISPs used to be the superheroes, and you hear counties like Pipestone and Rock County and Big Stone County and all the, they were the superheroes, right? They could go in, they could get a little bit of signal, something was better than nothing, right? And they could get around these spots. It was seemingly inexpensive, right? And we like WISPs. They're classically local-ish, right? They have good customer service, but the technology just can't offer the speed, right? So it's a Band-Aid, and it's an expensive one. So the other thing, when we talk about this, when we talk about $14.7 million, and we all go, or 14.7 years, 15 million. When you add up what it costs over the years to maintain things, right? Or to have a problem arise and have to go fix it or look at it head on or something like that. I mean, how long do we want to talk about this, and how long do we want to throw Band-Aids at it, right? Just to cover problems up. So, like I said, it's just best to just do it once and do it right. The U.S. Treasury's final rules for spending ARPA funds require that projects receiving funding have to be designed to deliver symmetrical speeds of 100 megabytes per second. And fixed wireless technology just can't meet it. Right, so that's that portion of it. Any questions off the top of your head?
Want to go first?
So the entire bond amount would be covered by revenue from the operation, not through tax levy or any payment from our county directly.
Correct. So the way that we have this set up is the network operations, and when we have a fairly conservative, when we're doing the math on this, we use a fairly conservative number of how many people are going to be on these lines, right? I mean, if we go 33%, it will be more than that, right? So if 33% jump on, 14.7 years, right? But it's a revenue bond, which means it does not affect taxes or levies, and the network operations go to pay that bond back, we can adjust that number, right? So if we're using, I think on this, we're using 43% of the network operations, right? If we have to up that to 55 to cover the bond, we will, right, for the 14.7, and then in the end, actually, when that all times out, 5% of network operations go back to the county.
So when this is all in place, you said that any company can provide service. Will that only be in the areas that are being done here, or will that be countywide?
So,
I mean, like, so will they be able to go into the green areas as well of the
Okay.
county versus the red or
Woodstock owns
yellow?
that, right? And we can't go over Woodstock,
Okay,
right? I can belly up with them. But all those green areas, we don't have to worry about for 10 or 15 years. They are set. Okay, so we belly up with where Woodstock is now. We bring a couple ISPs with us, right? The reason that open networks haven't worked before is because they expect the big guys to come and play on this, and they won't. They have their own infrastructure, right? And they're just gonna keep using that. But we have a couple ISPs that we bring with us, and so they're here to play immediately. Now, if Woodstock wants to start serving the rest of the county, they can jump on this line, right? And they can reach the rest of the county. And it's unlimited how many ISPs can play on these lines.
Anyone else?
are any of those companies charged a fee to do that, or they can just,
That's a Kyle question, right? He doesn't let me play with numbers much. There's like a small leasing fee, right? Which is so much cheaper than them having to go lay infrastructure, right, to provide their own internet service.
and is that per user or per mile, or how, do you know how that fee is done, or?
I would guess per user, but I wouldn't put that in like the newspaper as an answer. That's something I can,
Just trying to understand how this works, that,
Yeah, I'm a little bit.
that the revenue, you know.
Yeah.
So where does the revenue come from to make the payments?
from the internet bills.
Yeah. So we're relying on the concept that if we get fiber to these red unserved areas, that these people, after we make that tax dollar investment in doing this, that these individuals out there will actually use it, but it'll be from another provider, because again, we just own the fiber, we don't own the service. Am I grasping this concept correctly?
Yeah, and I'll touch on that quickly because I'm guessing you don't want to get into owning a utility company,
And I
right?
guess that's my other basic question, maybe if we get, because you talked before about how they'll come and plant their flag, okay, so they'll stake out their territory or their franchise. So we talk about the green area, so that's already as a franchise, Woodstock owns that.
Woodstock owns that area now. They have a monopoly,
Yep,
right? Here's the thing that about we all know the thing about monopolies, but another private business can come put their infrastructure and their fiber out there. to
because it's
offer
not
those people
exclusive,
choice.
like with a franchise, it's exclusive. But with this, it's open, so someone else can come into that territory, is that what you're saying? Okay. And that's my question too with the yellow area, and you talk, of course, well, obviously we know that's the higher concentration, but that already is served, though it's
Poorly.
not served well,
Poorly.
served by 2 or maybe even 3 different companies already. So then we would be the 4th owner of
4th, 5th, and 6th.
6 in there, yep.
Now I don't know. I mean, what your average internet bill is?
And that's the next part of my question, because right now, it's very expensive. Even if you've got it, it can be very expensive.
You know, internet companies there's no cap on this, right? They can say it's $600 a month, and if you don't pay that $600, you don't get internet, right? So part of the thinking of the system is that if we bring in multiple ISPs, and when they come in, they say, this is how much we're going to charge the people, this is how much service they get, right? And then your residents get to look at it and they get to make a choice, right, on what kind of service they want and how much they want to pay. And it has to drive down pricing and it has to up speeds. It forces them to serve. And if they're not doing their part, you can kick them off your line. You know, and say you're not playing right. Get out of here.
For
So it gives
the,
you some
for the areas in yellow now then. So, if the taxpayers make this investment in bringing fiber into every one of these residences in the yellow area, so that resident is gonna have to make the decision, okay, do I wanna continue using my slow provider? Or will I go on the new fiber? But in reality, the provider of the service in the slow areas will basically just use our system instead of theirs because it's faster.
They
But we'll
could.
be able to draw a fee from that.
They could. They could absolutely, if they don't want to go back into your streets and dig everything up and lay new infrastructure, they could just say, okay, you know, what they do is they have sort of a shelter house, right? And they just put this little box in there and they can send out their signal and provide internet. So they can do that if they want to. And you know, the thing is when you start doing this and you start making some noise, right, you get more noise back. Right? Like, whoa, 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 what are you guys doing? You know, I was making money there. Right? But you weren't, I mean, they can still give you money if they choose to. We're not taking away the option for them to use the same internet providers that they have been. We're just adding more options.
Some of the other noise that I would be concerned about, again, you look at the map, you see the green area, that's a fairly substantial amount of territory. So our users in that area, then in essence, they're gonna say, why should I pay more in my taxes to get fiber to somebody in the other corner of the county
Okay.
instead of mine? And
Right.
I realize that's a selfish concept because we of course know the importance of it for everybody. But that will be a question that'll come up.
They're not going to have to pay more in their taxes. And that's something that we really have to get through, right? Because people hear, you know, debt and bonds, and that's the next place that we go is tax hikes, right? And tax increases. This is set up securely. So you pull the bonds, the network operations pay those bonds back, it never touches the taxpayers. Right, so the people in green are not paying for this fiber network in this other area.
As long as the cash flows, as long as there's enough revenue produced from the users on that to pay off the bond debt.
Right, and if something happens, it's insured. So that doesn't fail. So that bond is protected.
I think I can add a little
Yeah,
something to it.
please.
Because I live in that green area.
Yep.
Currently, we are provided a much lower speed at a higher cost than what is shown.
Take a look on page 12.
Look
of
on
your
page
staple
12, I
handout,
know,
your big one.
these numbers on page
Yeah,
12, is that something that's basically kind of guaranteed that, or? How did you come up with those numbers?
So that's what is possible with the technology that's there. Okay, and the quick tutorial on how this works is there are 3 tiers of internet providers, right? So tier 1 are the big boys, right? AT&T. I only had 1 cup of coffee, but they're one of them. But these are the guys that are sending internet across the ocean, right? And doing huge things. Tier 2 does the middle mile, okay? And tier 2s usually own some infrastructure. And then you have tier 3 who, you know, does the connection to the home, right? They have no infrastructure. Now, tier 2 can do connection to the home, right? But if you have the tier 3 are the littler guys. So depending on what tier they are, and I don't know the answer to that.
So where would Woodstock fit into that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the people are paying, right? Because Tier 3 is buying it from Tier 2, who's buying it from Tier 1. So if you have a Tier 3 internet provider, then people are paying twice, right? And then what happens is, if you get too many people running on a Tier 3 network, right, the Tier 1 and Tier 2 guys go, well, you're not going to slow us down, right? So then they start pumping the speeds. So that's one thing that can happen. Now, the other thing that can happen is you have pond fiber over there, right? So it's split fiber. You think about it like a garden hose, right? So you have a garden hose and you hook it up and you have all this water running out the end of it, and then you start poking holes in it to redirect that water, right? And by the time you get to the end of it, that stream isn't as heavy. So while the technology can deliver that, depending on how far it's run, and how many times it's split, that can interfere with that.
Yes, please.
Just maybe back up a little bit here. The recommendation 1, is that running line to the red and the green?
The red and the yellow.
The red and the yellow.
Yep, we can't touch the
The
green.
green is not included in anything.
Can't touch the green. Yep, and then recommendation 2 is just the red.
Bill, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Bill Folger is, well, he's our IT director here for the county. Have you got any insight that you can add for us at all? I'm at a bit of a loss here.
Looks like a pretty good plan to me. I like how it's structured where other commercial providers can participate in something that's already there and around. It's gonna save them money. Their bean counters might not think so. I think it's gonna be better for them. It's in the long run. This is probably the way everything will end up going. It's how we do roads.
But apparently whoever is willing to provide service is agreeing to give a percentage of their revenue to help pay off the bill, to pay for the
line.
bonds.
Yep, to use the line.
Well,
Is that
we're
correct?
giving our percentage. Right, so I mean, Hometown Fiber eventually makes money, right? But we make it on network operations on the far back end.
Right, but I mean, for the companies that are actually providing the internet service or the cable TV service or whatever, I mean, I'm assuming a portion of that revenue must be directed to paying the bonds. I mean, where does the revenue come from otherwise to pay for the bonds?
I should
You guys
know
are
that.
not just putting in the fiber, you're gonna service it also.
Yeah, so how that works, because I don't know the answer to your question. Okay,
That's a critical
it's
question.
a good question on how that, and that's something that,
Debt.
Right.
And
Right.
that goes back to my question about our taxpayers. How, we got a debt, and this is a county debt.
yeah, and
Actually,
so
it's a revenue bond, so it's
it's different than.
same like the hospital bonds. They're based on the revenues of the hospital. This would be based on the revenues from the service.
But even like with the hospital bond, it was still secured by the county, correct?
The taxpayers aren't on the hook for it.
Right, right, and that was a huge thing when I learned that. Sorry, what was your question, Commissioner?
I gotta presume if there was default, we would somehow be on the hook in the.
It's insured. So we are heavily partnered with Ellers. They run all of our numbers. They look over with a fine tooth comb, and if we can get their stamp, then we're comfortable with it, right? But we also insure it. So if there was not enough people running on this line, right? If everybody in Pipestone County went, nah, I don't want good internet, right?
You also said you have ISPs already working with you that are gonna come in
Right.
and set this up to go.
Right, so when I have a city or a county move this forward, I start sending numbers to ISPs, right? This is where we're going, this is what the numbers look like, do you wanna hop on? So these are good questions, and they are all very far down the line, almost contractual questions.
Sure.
Right? I mean, but I bring you these numbers. And there are points throughout this where you hop on or you hop off, you know? Like, well, you know, there are 3 ISPs, more than enough for Pipestone. Right? But, sorry.
When we're talking about this, if we all go gung ho, the hometown fiber puts in the fiber, and you hook up somebody out in the country, who do they pay their bill to? Do they pay a bill to you or
To the ISP.
to the ISP? Do you have your own ISP, or you just?
We have Bravo Broadband, but we don't necessarily run that on these. So, okay, so the structure of it, though, is what you're asking.
They're gonna have to pay somebody,
Right. So,
not us.
right. So, when you're pulling the bond, technically, you have to own the network. Okay? I'm guessing you don't want to you don't want to own this utility. Right. So, but you're pulling the bond. So you pull the bond, you own the network, you lease it back to Hometown Fiber, right, for $1. And then that makes us responsible for all of the maintenance and network operations. Right? And that becomes contractual. Right? So for 5 years, we're going to do this, and then we revisit it. Right? And if any point you guys want to kick us out of here, you know, that clause is built in there for you too. Once you have one of these open network designs, and when the ISPs come, I'm sorry, to answer your question directly, when we come in and we lay the fiber, you own the fiber, we're leasing it back, so we're in charge of the maintenance, right? But then whichever ISP they choose, right? So say Woodstock hops on.
That's my question, if we could offer that to Woodstock.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, anybody.
Because again, as you look at this map, the green area, okay, Dallas lives in the green area.
Okay.
And you haven't had green that long, because Woodstock came there not that many years ago and brought you good service.
Woodstock has come by my place, and I haven't changed from my other one yet.
And that was my next question. I live in the yellow area, okay? So when this other service comes, I'm gonna make the decision, okay, do I want it? Depends on what the cost is gonna be. How much is it gonna cost me to go from yellow to green? Or am I gonna make the decision, well, I can get by with yellow?
Yeah.
So I don't think that when you make your forecast, your business forecast, that you can assume that all these yellow people are gonna come to
We don't.
Hometown
I
Fiber.
think what we worked with here was maybe 33% of the whole build.
Yeah.
Right, so more people hop on, then that ROI goes down.
But back to the Edgerton area, like I said, they recently got part of the expanded as Woodstock Telephone continued to build out, and we've worked with Woodstock Telephone in the past. We you know, you're kind of preaching to the choir a little bit about the need of it. We know what's needed. We've known it's been needed for a long time, and we didn't have a financial stake in Woodstock, but we did do some grants, we helped them get some grants. How did that work? I don't remember how we did
Helped
that.
them get grants.
Yeah. So, is it possible that as Woodstock continues to grow, that eventually they'll be able to grow into the red area? They grew into the red area down in Edgerton.
Okay, so I actually had this conversation with Woodstock, right? Because what I don't want to do is start some sort of political battle, right? Or do anything like that, right? Government cannot overbuild private business. Bottom line.
Yeah, and that's why you can't go into the green area.
That's why we're not building in the green area. They're served. Right now, if Hometown Fiber, right, wanted to invest some money and run our system into the green area, we could, right? But it couldn't be bonded by you.
Right.
Right? So, unless there are grant opportunities or money to be made, Woodstock isn't coming.
Are there some grant opportunities to the county that they are not qualified for?
You guys have a lot of questions. We go way deeper than I usually do in this.
You're supposed to have a lot of answers.
I know what you would think, right?
When Woodstock came into Edgerton, they say Bass had buried copper to everybody 10, 15 years ago. And now, when they had signups for Edgerton, they had a certain amount of signups, you could sign up if you wanted it. And they got to a level where they said, well, we got enough people, we're gonna run it to everybody without having to sign up officially to change. So now I got double wires, you know, and I haven't changed yet.
Okay.
You too, Jill? Yeah, she's an Edgerton also. And so that's gonna be competition.
That's good.
That's a good thing.
We like
But we don't wanna have the Pipestone County in competition with Woodstock.
Right, which is why I called.
Yeah,
Right, which is why I called.
Mr. Chair. But one thing I think how Woodstock would benefit, like currently, Woodstock doesn't provide cable TV. They used to, but they didn't have enough customers, so they were losing money on it, so they stopped providing it. My guess is if they can all of a sudden use this network to tap into the Pipestone market where there's more people, it might be worth it for them to offer it again,
Right,
and therefore might be an opportunity for them.
right. So Woodstock Communications touches a couple counties that I'm working with, right? No one has ever said anything bad about them. They really like them. Now MediaCom,
That's a good thing.
that's a great thing, right? And we want to keep them happy because that means that they're serving people, right, as they should be. So they're not going to come and spend $12,000 to hook up a farmhouse. There's no money in it for them. They're going to take a loss there.
But they might offer a higher speed to
But
everyone if they're all of a sudden able to tap into way more numbers of people.
But if you run the network, right, and you design the underground internet infrastructure system, they can absolutely send their signal and come serve all of these people.
And they could serve even those of us that live in the green area with a higher speed at a lower cost, if they can also sell a bunch of you in town the same service.
Well, Woodstock could actually take everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Theoretically,
They could.
Yeah.
correct.
They could be the most competitive ISP on the network, absolutely.
But it'd be a way for them to lower their cost to us as residents and provide a better service.
So we're not cutting them out. by
No,
any means.
not at all.
They can expand, actually.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Right, we're offering them another 2,700 in-town addresses and 884 rural.
An interstate over a highway would be offering them.
But we do represent the whole demographic here. Like I said, we've got a green, we got two yellows.
I'm red.
And we got a red. And that is just
That's
it.
put on
We
the
have
forehead.
to make sure that everybody in the community can benefit from this.
Right,
And the community, by community, I mean the county as a whole. I use that term
Right.
generically, the community.
right. Well, you want everybody in the county to benefit, right? But you also don't want half the county to suffer because these people got something, right? So there's a delicate balance there. One time I had a community where they kind of got together in this little township and just paid for it, right? Just to get their pond fiber. And so then the county was looking at it, and the woman zoomed in. She said, well, then we want part of that money back. Right? And he just said, well, no. Right? I mean, I know why you thought that, but, just go enjoy your internet, and we'll talk about it in 10 to 15 years. Right? So in 10 to 15 years, right, that pond fiber, which is in that county, in the right-hand side of the county, that will start to time out. Right? And then we have another conversation, or Woodstock comes in and puts in direct fiber.
Marlena, we've got about 6 minutes yet.
Really?
Yep. We're not that rigid. If just,
I'm just kidding.
Is there more that we need to know, or where are we at,
No,
or what
I
are the next
don't.
steps?
I don't think so. So tomorrow at Mystic Lake Casino is the Minnesota Broadband Convention. And so I will be there and we're gonna learn a whole lot about grants and plans and everything that they plan to do moving forward.
You can get some more information then on how this financing works.
I'll get you the intricacies of that. The next step on this is engineering. Okay, so if this is something you decide to move forward on, then the next thing that we do is talk about laying down
Yep.
the engineering system for this. I believe you have enough ARPA dollars left to cover that. And then we can start about a build, would go as early as spring. And we line up with city engineers and things like that. If you have any road construction or anything that's going on with that, we line up with that.
But our existing contract with you has been fulfilled now because you got the study complete.
Correct.
Yeah. So then the next steps are, and the timeline of when we need to keep this moving forward. So what is the timeline that we're looking at?
Well, it's on your timeline, right? But the next round of grants, we're gonna go probably late summer, early fall, right, is when they hit. And in order to get those done and everything accomplished with those, we like a couple months ahead of that.
When you started this morning, you seemed somewhat surprised that we've got this much fiber here. Did I?
I was, and well, see, what happens is the FCC maps, which is what I have to look at originally, right? When you don't do mapping, that's all you look at. The FCC maps are made from ISPs reporting where the fiber is, right? And sometimes they don't know what fiber they own because they buy each other up so quickly, they don't even know everything that they own. And sometimes it's not reported, and Woodstock seemed to think that it should have been reported, and I might have missed it. It's a possibility, I've missed things.
Were any of you guys at all surprised by this map? I gotta be real honest, I'm not. This is information that we knew. We
Yeah.
know that we had good service in the northeast
Right.
part of it, and we knew that in the southwest that there's just nothing out there.
Right.
Well, I would say that qualified.
We've got fiber, yes.
We have
Good point.
fiber,
Yep.
but I don't consider it that good a service,
Yeah,
frankly.
even though the fiber's there,
I
it's a
mean,
good point.
because, if you're willing to pay a big price, a high speed is possible. But,
And wouldn't that same thing be true if we had blue everywhere? Yeah, you've got the fiber there, but again, is the service, is the ISP affordable?
Well, right, that's why we bring in a lot of them,
Define affordable.
Yeah.
right.
right,
So you could get super high speed if you wanted to pay for it, I'm sure.
correct, right. Or
So-
same, even in town, I mean, I work in Pipestone, so I'm in the yellow during the day. And, when I look at these prices on page 12, I wish I could get these prices.
Sign it up
because
right now,
For
huh?
my business, I'm paying way more than this now, and I'm
Yeah.
getting way worse service.
Well, and when we come in and talk contractually about the ISPs that are coming and things like that, we have their pricing nailed down, right? So this is what their price will hold at for this many years. This is the service they will offer. And then we get to decide. You get to decide.
Or same way like with what Rock County offers. I've heard those numbers. They sound very attractive. We would all love to have that here.
Yeah,
State paid for that all at once, though.
Correct. I mean, I think Rock County did have a
Not,
small amount invested of the total, but it was much smaller than the amount we're looking at here.
governor made that
Right.
right. They made a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I had a friend that lived on the edge of the county, and he said, "I'm even gonna sign up for it." I says, "If you ever sell your farm, sign up for it."
Yeah, it brings the
Oh, yeah.
value up. I tell people all the time, like, I mean, as commissioners, you report to the people, right? And you know what? Your phone will never ring with people saying, listen, the internet's too fast and it works every time and I'm sick of it.
Again, Doug is in the red area. What are
Well,
you
I
doing for
use
internet?
Woodstock's wireless. There's a tower about a mile south of me. And like, I don't know, Saturday when it was so foggy and I didn't have internet.
Right.
It's pretty reliable, but it's not always there, so.
No, the satellite is,
Weather, foggy. Yeah, I mean, there's
Band-Aid.
many situations where the weather affects it.
walking around with your cell phone like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe 90% of the time it's there. It's not real fast, but that's all I got for a choice, actually. So.
Maybe
Mr.
we'll
Chairman,
change it.
we need to end this
Yes,
right
we
now.
do,
We're,
yeah.
we have a bid opening
Yeah, we had a bid
at
open, so
10:30.
Marlena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So-
Marlena, I'll be in touch.
Yep,
Think we
keep
wanna
us
have
in the
another
loop.
meeting
Yep.
and possibly get Kyle here with you too. We
Perfect.
can talk about the money part of this,
That sounds good.
some more information.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Okay, Nick, if you'd come up, we're ready for our bid opening then.
All right, this is the bid opening for our 2023 overlay project. The bid tab in your packet should have a map showing the location of these projects. We've included in here the patches on County Road 18 that we left gravel. Also, the city of Island needs some work done on their streets, so we let them get in on this project to try to save them the cost of, contractor
So that's a
mobilizing.
pass-through cost then from them, or do we subsidize that?
No, they'll be paying for, they'd be paying for that
100%
material,
of
but,
their participation, yeah.
so no matter what happens on these bids, I'm not gonna want to officially award now, cause we want to tell them what that cost is
Before they commit to it, yeah.
and get their thumbs up, but we may ask for a contingent approval, but,
I did have a question, Nick. Like on County Road 10 up there, I mean, have those culverts been repaired through that whole area, the separations and before you overlay or?
So this project is literally just a Band-Aid to buy us some time, cause that road needs a complete regrade, but we don't have the money for it.
Okay.
So, I know there was some issues on the shoulders. I
I know there is some
Yeah.
separations up there.
and we didn't put any effort or much effort into it because we planned on a regrade and like, well, why put a bunch of money into fixing them now if we're gonna regrade in a few years, but, yeah, I'll check and make sure that we got them fixed up enough to,
Maybe there's time to do some of them.
we could, yeah.
Before the overlay,
That's
too.
the thing, we would have time to do that, so that's a
All right.
good catch, so.
All right.
Good to have that background experience.
I saw them.
No, that's helpful.
As long as the patches on 18 get fixed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've been there quite a while.
Yeah, and they're a little rough.
All right, well, that being said, we'll get started here. The first bid is from Central Specialties of Alexandria.
And you obviously double-checked all the bids are in.
Yes, yep, we, there's only 3 plan holders, we have 2 bids. And, we did actually check with the third one and they said they weren't submitting a bid, which, not that uncommon, they don't bid with us every time, so I'm not shocked at that, I guess, so. Alright, bid from CSI, which is Central Specialties. $3,149,558.80. $3,149,558.80. Next bid is from Dunick Incorporated out of Prindsburg. their bid from Dunick Incorporated, $3,270,816.45. $3,270,816.45. Engineer's estimate on this project, $2,851,472.15. $2,851,472.15. I guess if we could right now, I'd like a few minutes to go review these with Jared, and then I'll come back with
I think that'd be fine.
some
We got
form of recommendation.
one other item that we need to work on, so that's fine. We can work on that while you take a look at that.
Perfect.
But again, we're not ready to take action on this until you confer with Island.
We may ask for a contingent approval.
Okay.
Or, approval contingent on them giving the green light. I firmly believe that really helps with bidding when we award right away, because fuel prices are kind of volatile. And I know last year, the low bidder called twice to confirm, like, you will award this that day, right? Because they didn't want the fuel to go up and then they'd be stuck on their bid. So that tells me that they're sharpening their pencil as much as they possibly can. So I would like to hold true to that as best we can. But
And did you have dates set for work on this? Start dates, finish dates, and so forth?
I think they can start any time after road postings are lifted, but I don't recall the completion. September 1st for the completion date. So pre-harvest.
Very good. Well, we'll let you step out for a few
Right.
moments.
Sounds
Just
good.
check
Thank you.
in. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Then while we wait for Nick to do that, let's go back to our other business, appoint regional trails representative. Steve, you got a presentation on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there's a note in your packet from former Mayor Myron Coots requesting, just basically I'll read it into the record here. Good afternoon. Last fall, I asked each of the units of government to support the possibility of a trail from Laverne to Pipestone. We are now at a point where the route needs to be established, and for this to happen, each unit of government should be at the table to make this decision. For this to happen, I am asking each of you to designate a representative to be part of a group discussion on the proposed route. This could be accomplished through Zoom to conserve time and travel at this point of the process. If you, after consulting with units of government, forward contact name and contact information, I could then contact everyone to determine available time for a meeting. Thanks for your, in advance, Myron Coots, Regional Trails Project. So he's requesting a representative from Pipestone County Board to be present at this meeting, these meetings.
Very good.
So
I guess
the
at
board to
this-
make a decision.
Yep. I guess at this time, I'd open it up to you guys. Anybody interested in getting
I
involved
would be
here?
interested.
That would be interested?
I'll nominate Doug to.
Sounds very good.
Second that.
Moved and seconded for Doug to represent this. Any further questions or discussion? Okay. Very good. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
No opposed. Thank you, Doug, for volunteering. Appreciate that.
I'll send your information to Myron. Thank you, Doug.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't believe there's anything else on the agenda. Have I missed anything, guys? I don't believe so. We already talked about the upcoming meetings.
Historical Society, is that?
That's just information, nothing to act on. It's just information that the State Historical Society approved the Jasper Museum to be in the historic register, looks like.
Yeah. Very good.
So no action required, just point of information. They send the information out and I just put it in your box so you can read it.
Thanks, Steve.
Welcome.
Appreciate that.
Chairman, we take a
I
brief
think we
recess?
should. Let's go ahead and take a brief recess until Nick can check and get back to us.